Okay, there was a launch that I did with Chase Bowers. I've been part of bigger launches, but this launch was very key because we took two people that were literally unknown in the industry, and we were able to capitalize on having a massive, enormous $250,000 launch. And then what we did after the launch was the key things. And so we're gonna do that privately on a webinar. I'll actually probably pop up live just to let people know, give people a link tomorrow when we go live, but we do have a time. It's 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow. I'm not sure if Chase is gonna be able to make it because it's Saturday, but he's gonna try to make it. And if not, either way, I can definitely go over the information. It's actually very solid information. I'm gonna go over all the technology that I use. I'm gonna break down the email marketing methods that we use. I'm gonna break down the retargeting methods that we used to drive traffic back into the funnel, and then also go over how we built a funnel to be so high converting. We had like over 60% conversion rates on OTO1 and over 47% conversion rates on OTO2, and OTO3 was still pretty good, like 15% or something like that, but that was more of a continuity program, so of course it's not going to be as high. However, those people have stuck, a very high percentage of those people have literally stuck on that continuity program that's now been 4 months deep after that launch. Now we're at over 600. Actually, we just did a webinar today live with John S. Rhodes, the legend John S. Rhodes, and so that number is going to continue to even grow. So it's growing constantly while we're still able to offer that offer as a webinar. It's going to change here very soon. However, that's amazing, guys, right? That is amazing. And I believe that we could take it over 7 figures pretty soon, at least before the end of the year, just depending on when we turn things off. But we have some other special things coming up. So I just wanted to break those announcements out to you right now. All right, cool. So let's talk about different lead sequences and different ways to segment your list. So like we were saying, today is going to be I'll probably start off a little bit basic, but today it might be considered a little bit more advanced as well, because when you think of email marketing, a lot of people think, oh, it's just me sending an email. And it's not necessarily just me sending an email, it's also automation, okay? So like let's say like we talked about the funnels and stuff like that, it's really good to have, after you build like a membership funnel, or you build a sales page where you're selling something, or you're getting a lead magnet where you're capturing people's leads, it's what are you doing after that? What kind of conversation are you having with your audience directly after you just got something from them? Even though you're getting an email from somebody, you really should look at that as a compensation. Even though you haven't necessarily made money on that particular prospect, it still goes into the numbers. So it is a transaction in that sense. So if you look at it as a transaction, you've still got to provide them with some kind of service. And you know what? I do some idiotic things myself where I forget to do it, or I leave it out, or I get moved on to something else. So we all have a life to live too. It's not just online. But if you do these little key things, you make sure you do these things, you pull people through. Because there's two different ways of marketing. I learned this from Anthony Robbins. I've learned this from a bunch of other people as well, being in sales for so long. But there's this thing called push and pull, okay? Usually you have to either push people to do something, or you have to pull them through. And in online marketing is usually pulling people through, right? So you have to distract, get attention, and then after that, pull them through with your message. And it might be something like, if you know your audience, so if you're selling yoga mats or something like that, you know that the person, if you're giving a free yoga mat sample, and you say, hey, we'll send you a free yoga mat sample of our product, we'll for free, no questions asked, and you pay for the shipping, that's it, so that you break it even on your shipping and handling cost, on the product cost, and then you send it out to them, and then how do you communicate with them afterwards? So as soon as they've given you their email address, their information, you usually, even on that, you've gathered a lot of data, you've got their name, you've got their phone number sometimes, you've got their address or home address, so you can actually physically send them something, and you also have their email address, and on top of that, you might want to start incentivizing some things right away. So let's kind of talk about that, right? So let's say you sell, and this is going to be a buyer. So I kind of wrote buyers. I'm not sure how well you guys can see the top of my board. Looks like you can kind of see it, but I wrote buyers right here. And so basically a buyer lead, and I wouldn't say that necessarily they're 100% buyer. They're still in the prospect zone, because they haven't fully bought the product, but they bought into like a tripwire of some sort at that point. So even if you had a funnel or not, you sold them a basic product. So you have your sales page, and then you're gonna basically have emails. You're gonna have these little emails. See how well I can do a little, right? You're gonna have, let's say you have the first email, and this is typically how I would write all of my emails, is kind of based off this, and it's something I learned in like grade school, which I was horrible at in grade school, by the way. But if I can do it, you can do it. So basically, I would have a who, what, where, when, why, and where. But instead of starting with all that, I would do with like a welcome message, okay, a welcome message, and a congratulations also on there. So you have their welcome, congratulations, and then next step. Okay, that's the first email I would send them. The next step is going to be a CTA, call to action, right? You just gave them, you just said, hey, welcome, congratulations, your thing is in the mail. When it comes in the mail, you do decide to buy, here's your call to action, so you can go ahead and buy the full product. Then the next one would come out, let's say 2 days later. And by the way, this is also automation. So you want to preset your emails as an automated email sequence to your products you're selling, regardless if it's digital products, regardless if it's online, physical or digital or anything, right? Selling a book, selling online coaching, selling something, membership sites, whatever. It's good to have a sequence set up, and your AR, your email autoresponder, will allow you to do this automation for you. And I will promise you, I'll get in deeper. So here's where I'd say then story. So like, who am I? Who am I? And why? So that'd be my next email, and then call to action. So who am I? Why did I get into who am I? What's my backstory? Why am I so passionate about yoga and yoga mats and yoga bricks and stuff like that? Why do I do what I do? And maybe even some pictures, something to personalize you with the product. So that way it gives the person some sort of ownership feeling as well when they see it. So when they come and they see this ultra thick yoga mat, they're gonna say, wow, this is really cool yoga mat. I wouldn't mind actually owning this for myself and buying it and doing it for myself, right? Because I'm into yoga. Usually if you're targeting that audience, you already know that they're passionate about yoga. And you know, the thing about yoga mats is, how long can you use a yoga mat before you're gonna throw it away and upgrade to something better or newer? So there's definitely that recycle rate, right? That rate where they keep buying them. Also, on top of that, people won't just buy one. They might buy two, okay? They might buy 2 yoga mats. Maybe if you give them a special deal, if they decide to buy 2, buy one, get one half off or something like that. So you could do that. This would be who. Then what? So this could be like, what education what education about the yoga mat itself, like getting into the features of it. Maybe it's extra cushiony, maybe it has better airflow, maybe it has something. What's so special? Why your yoga mat versus everybody else's yoga mat in the world? Why should they buy your yoga mat? And then at the end of that, you're gonna have a CTA, your call to action. You gotta always make sure you have a call to action no matter what. And then you would send out another email, which would be basically like doing a win. And you could say, like, if they didn't buy at this point, because you'll know if they buy, because I'm going to talk a little bit more about automation. But if they didn't buy at this point, after 4 emails, maybe 5 or 6 emails, if they haven't purchased by this time, then you're going to send them special deals. And this is how I would do it. Obviously, you could do it any way you want to. Hopefully, you've made a sell somewhere here. You have you know how long the product is going to take them. Say it takes them 2 days, or it takes them 10 days. That's how I would spread out my email messages. I wouldn't over inundate them too much on the email itself, unless you had some cool meditation stuff. Maybe you could do also on top of that, you could do like a weekly magazine type of thing where it's a newsletter where you send them like, hey, updates, you know, this was in the news about yoga. It's easy to find those trending topics in yoga. You could just go to Google trending topics and then purposely put in yoga, and they'll send you messages. So write this down. They will send you messages that will tell you what's trending based off of your keywords. So if you see something in the news and you could pull that information, now you can actually use that information in your email, which gives you a reason to communicate to your audience. And every single time you communicate to your audience, you're gonna sell them something, right? Or you're gonna offer them something, or you're gonna at least have a CTA back to your store, okay? So if we're talking about a physical product, you wanna keep pushing these people back to your store. And if you know they buy yoga mats or they're interested in yoga mats, what else do you know they're interested in? So they, like I said, they could be interested in yoga pants. Those are really hot. You could have physical product pants actually built specifically for you. Also too, cool. Just checking who's on live, but basically you could have these physical products built just for your store. Maybe it's a branding play and you want to build your brand and you want to explode your brand out into the world. Well, you could easily take that same yoga idea or whatever, and you could start using other products. You can get keychains, you could get bracelets, you could get necklaces, you could get t-shirts, you could get mugs, you can get hats, you could get it's limitless what you could do in that yoga industry, okay, right? You could also start talking about finding out like what associations are yoga people into, and maybe making friends and being part of those groups. Start going to those events, find other people to affiliate with and offer their products on your store where they would pay you a commission and they would ship it for you. Okay, so that way you could make some sort of uniqueness to your store, why people would want to come back to your store. Also too, you could get into diet, health and diet and stuff like that. So that is some ideas on how to do just a normal email sequence. And then you would know in your AR that this would be a yoga prospect or buyer. Okay, and what would happen in your AR at that point is once they become a buyer, they have a thing called automation. All of the email autoresponders have this. And basically what happens is, let's say they become a buyer at this point. They go and buy. And guess what? Now there's another whole list that you can start sending a whole new message of emails you can start sending these people, because now they're buyers. Now you know they're proven to you and they've proven to themselves that they trust you and they trust their product, which is probably the most important thing about this, is that you know that now that they trust you and they trust your product. So you know that if you did do a newsletter, you could send this to 2 different groups, but you're gonna have them, so now they're buyers, right? So these people went from prospect, they're interested in yoga, and they went from yoga prospect to yoga buyer. So you would have what do you call, like a subject or a title line or a description of that list. And what happens is that lead literally goes from the prospecting list to the buyer's list, okay? It went from the prospecting list to the buyer's list. Now once they're in the buyer's list, remember all the stuff we talked about building a funnel even with physical products or online marketing products? We talked about that. Now that we know that they're a buyer, now we got to sell them more stuff, right? If they're in the cart, and you can do a bump sell, you can do an after the cart sell, you can do a before the cart sell, and you can start sending them discounts once a week. You could have a weekly discount email that goes out based off whatever product you're actually trying to push that week to that particular audience. Guys, this is very simple stuff if you really actually think about it. It's find a need. Once you find a need, find something that they want to buy and then sell it to them. That's it. These guys are going to buy it anyway. They're going to go on Amazon. They're going to find these stuff somewhere else, but maybe you can actually stick out from the crowd and build yourself a brand, a trusted brand that people will go to, and you can, and people are doing it all over the place, right? Especially with physical products. That was what our our webinar today was about physical products, and it's something I'm very passionate and excited about because it's such a growing industry right now, and there's so many different variations that you can do it. And by far, I don't say I'm the biggest guru in it, but I am someone that's very passionate in it. And I could see that, like, look, if you wanted to start creating your own products, like I'm using yoga as an example. There was a guy that was on a Pat Flynn podcast not too long ago. I think he's doing like hundreds of millions of dollars online, and the way that he does it is he builds one product at a time, or one brand at a time. So he's like, and he actually did do a yoga mat. He actually went to yoga studios with all kinds of different fabrics. He called all these different people in like in China to make all these different manufacturers to make products for him. He made all those products, and then he had the little samples, and he went and he asked people in yoga studios, would you use this? Would you use that? Would you use that? People were saying, we'd love it. We'd like to use that. Okay, cool. If I come back with the whole full thing, will you test this out for me? So it took a little bit of time for him to do that. But the fact is then he did it. He built the store up, and he sold it for over $1 million. So he can do it. He simply made it sound simple. I'm sure there's more to it. Obviously, you got Shopify, you've got Amazon, you've got eBay, and you could sell all of your products on all three platforms. And why not? If you're going to brand yourself, what a better way than to actually take your products and put it on other platforms that'll sell it for you, and at the same time, you dabble and figure out ways to drive traffic to your store so you can find that audience and own that list so you can send them emails like this. So let me ask you guys, are you guys getting this so far? I want to make sure you guys are totally getting it. Cool. So are you guys getting this? I want to make sure you guys are getting this loud and clear if this is exciting for you. Some people might say this is boring for them. Obviously, marketing is not for everybody, but for me it is. It's something I'm very passionate about. I'm just going to go wipe the screen off real quickly and kind of move into the next part.